Welcome to Plain Explain, where we take big ideas and break them into simple stories you'll actually remember. If you've ever felt confused by economics, don't worry today. We're starting with the most important idea of all supply and demand. Once you understand these two forces, the entire world of prices, markets, and money becomes way less mysterious. So sit back, relax, and let's make economics finally make sense. Have you ever wondered why the price of something you love suddenly goes up or drops for no apparent reason? Why concert tickets sell out in minutes? Why gasoline can ruin your monthly budget? Or why your favorite snack suddenly becomes more expensive? Believe it or not, all of these everyday mysteries are controlled by two ancient invisible forces that have shaped every market on Earth's supply and demand. And once you understand them, you'll start seeing the world completely differently. Let's start with something simple. Imagine you're craving bubble tea. You walk to your favorite shop, but there's already a long line of people waiting. The shop has only 50 cups left today. That's demand on one side, and supply on the other. A crowd of thirsty customers and a limited number of drinks. This tiny battle happens everywhere from local stores to global markets, and it determines almost everything about price. So let's break this down in the simplest way possible. Demand is the number of people who want something and how much they're willing to pay for it. If lots of people want bubble tea today, demand is high. If the weather turns cold and nobody feels like drinking anything, iced demand drops. It's that simple. Supply is the amount of something that is available to sell. If the shop prepares 100 cups, today, supply is high. If the machine breaks and they can only make 20 cups, supply is low. Again, extremely simple. But here's where things get interesting. Prices move depending on which one supply or demand is stronger at the moment. And those movements are not random. They follow patterns that are surprisingly predictable. Let's begin with the first rule. When demand increases, prices tend to rise. Think about concert tickets. Imagine your favorite artist announces a world tour. Suddenly, millions of people rush online to buy tickets. But the stadium only has 40,000 seats. The number of fans who want tickets massively outweighs the number of tickets available. So what happens? The price skyrockets. People are even willing to pay double, triple, or more. That's demand in action. You can see the same effect during the launch of a new iPhone. People line up, overnight stores run out of stock, and resellers immediately list phones for insanely high prices. You might think, are people crazy? Why would they pay so much? And the answer is simple. High demand, limited supply, price goes up. Now let's flip it. The second rule: when supply increases, prices tend to fall. Picture this: a town has one bakery selling croissants, and they're charging $4 each. Business is good, and customers are willing to pay. But then two more bakeries open nearby, each selling croissants too. Suddenly, there are more croissants available than customers who want them. The original bakery can no longer charge $4 because shoppers now have choices. If they want to stay in business, the bakery has to lower its price. That's supply doing its thing. This happens in bigger markets as well. Imagine there's suddenly a massive harvest of wheat. More wheat means more bread, more noodles, more cereal. And because there's plenty for everyone, prices fall. On the other hand, if the wheat harvest fails due to drought or storm, supply shrinks, and bread becomes more expensive. You may not think about wheat, but your wallet definitely feels it. So far, so good. But here's the magical part: supply and demand always push toward a point of balance. Economists call this equilibrium, but you don't need complicated graphs to understand it. Imagine that bubble tea again. If the store sets the price too high, let's say $10 a cup, fewer people will buy it. The shop will have leftovers. So they lower the price. But if they set the price too low, maybe $2, they'll sell out instantly and lose the chance to earn more. Over time, the store naturally finds the sweet spot, a price where customers are willing to buy and the shop is happy to sell. That sweet spot is the equilibrium price. It's where supply meets demand peacefully. No leftover cups and no angry customers. Just balance. Now you might think everything is simple and predictable. Supply goes up, price goes down. Demand goes up, price goes up. But real life is a lot more dramatic than that. Because supply and demand don't stay still. They change constantly because the world keeps changing. Let's look at some real-world curveballs. For example, psychology. Sometimes demand spikes simply because other people are buying something. Think about fidget spinners. One day nobody cared. Then suddenly everyone wanted one. Schools banned them because students couldn't stop playing with them. Stores couldn't restock fast enough. That demand was not driven by need. It was driven by trend hype and a simple thought: everyone else has one, so I want one too. Human psychology can twist demand into strange shapes. Another twist: companies sometimes manipulate supply on purpose. Imagine a luxury brand releasing a limited edition handbag. They produce only a small quantity, not because they can't make more, but because they want the illusion of scarcity. Limited supply creates higher demand, and higher demand creates prestige. It's artificial scarcity, but it works. People will pay thousands for something simply because it's rare. Then there's the impact of global events. A sudden storm in Brazil can destroy coffee crops, and that single event can raise coffee prices around the world within days. A war between countries can push up oil prices, which affects transportation, food, electricity, and almost everything else. The world is deeply interconnected, and supply chains are incredibly fragile. A small disruption at one end can send shockwaves through entire markets. Technology adds another twist. Imagine an invention that makes producing solar panels twice as cheap. Suddenly, supply increases dramatically. Prices fall, adoption increases, and a whole new industry shifts because technology boosted supply. On the other hand, if a new chip shortage occurs, because a major factory shuts down supply, shrinks, prices jump, and companies scramble to adapt. Supply and demand are constantly influenced by innovation accidents, discoveries, and changes in behavior. But even with all these twists, you can still understand markets better than most people simply by watching what happens to supply and demand. When something becomes more popular, expect demand to rise and prices with it. When something becomes easier or cheaper to produce, expect supply to rise and prices to fall. When something becomes scarce, prices will likely jump. When a trend fades, demand will drop and prices will follow. Markets look chaotic on the surface, but underneath the same simple rules are always at work. Let's bring this back to things you see every day. Think about streaming services. When one platform produces a hit series, millions of subscribers flood in. Demand rises, prices rise, competition enters, supply increases, prices level off. Then the cycle repeats. It's supply and demand playing out in the digital world. Or think about housing. When a city becomes popular, maybe because of job opportunities, more people want to live there. Demand goes up. Rent climbs. If builders construct more homes and apartments, supply increases. Rents stabilize. If construction slows down, supply shrinks and prices climb again. Cities rise and fall in price because of the constant tug-of-war between supply and demand. Even something as simple as fruit at the supermarket obeys these rules. When strawberries are in season, supply is high and prices are low. When they're out of season, supply drops and prices rise. You don't need a degree in economics to know that strawberries are expensive in winter. So let's zoom out and tie everything together. Supply is how much of something exists. Demand is how much people want it. Prices are the conversation between the two. When demand grows stronger, prices rise. When supply grows stronger, prices fall. And in the middle is a balancing point that markets are always trying to reach. That's the equilibrium. It doesn't matter whether we're talking about bubble tea cars, houses, or global commodities. These rules stay the same. Understanding this gives you a superpower. Suddenly you can make better decisions. You can predict why prices are rising, why certain products are cheap, why companies make the choices they do, and how entire industries move. You start seeing patterns instead of chaos. And once you understand supply and demand, Almost every economic story, from inflation to shortages to rising costs, becomes much easier to understand. So the next time you see a sudden price jump or a crazy discount or a product that sells out instantly, you'll know exactly what forces are at work. Nothing happens without supply and demand. And now you understand both. If you want more simple, clear explanations of complex ideas, just tell me what you'd like to explore next. Economics, AI, history, psychology, anything. The world is full of things worth understanding, and we can explain them one by one. Thanks for watching Plain Explain. If today's episode helped you understand supply and demand in a clearer, simpler way, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next big idea. And if there's a topic you want me to break down, economics, history, technology, or anything else, just leave a comment. I'll explain it for you. See you in the next video.